Hi creatives, I am Dima and you're welcome to another interesting tutorial. This is all about the cutting and sewing of this beautiful cropped jacket with built-up neckline. Trust me, this tutorial is loaded, including this contouring of the neckline because the neckline is deeply cut. It needs the contouring. I will be sharing with you how to contour this and also how to manage the dart after closing up the contour. If this sounds like what you've been interested in, then you have to stay till the end to see how I cut and sew this beautiful cropped jacket with built-up neckline. In this video, I'll be starting with a basic pattern, front and back pattern, just as you can see in this video. If you do not know how to make a basic pattern, then you have to check the link in the description box to see how to make a basic pattern. I started this by measuring 5 inches from the start of the paper. Yes, just to mark a start for the pattern of alteration. Then I measured from here 3 inches in and marked like 3 points and then drew a vertical line with these points. Now the next thing to do is to go ahead and bring our pattern and start the alteration. So after doing this, the next thing to do is to get the basic front pattern. Then I will mark where the dart is. Okay, just mark the dart position. I used my bust to bust to note where the dart is. I came down by 1 inch and ensured this at my bust to bust as well. Then I completed the dart. The dart is 1 inch. That is ½ inch on both sides of the bust to bust. So here I marked 2 inches and here I marked ½ inch. Now I'll be connecting these 2 points. I'm just using my pattern master to know exactly the part of the ruler that is best for me to connect these 2 points. So I chose this very point now and I used it to connect the 2 points. Now I'm going to bring my paper that I drew horizontal and vertical line on earlier, and I'll be pinning it down and the whole alteration process will start. Now I'm going to cut this open just as you can see me do, and I'm going to lift it up. Watch closely. Aside what I am doing, what I'm saying, watch closely to see what I'm doing. So I lifted this up and I will go ahead and measure 2 inches. Okay, once you get 2 inches away from this point right now, you stop. You have to pin this down right there. So I'm ensuring it's 2 inches and I'll go ahead and pin it down, or you can as well use your masking tape and stick it down if that is easier. So just ensure it doesn't move, keep it right there steady. And the next is to go ahead, after lifting this up by 2 inches, you come to this side and measure 1½ inches from this mark. Okay, it's 1 inch from the start of the neckline, but it's actually 1½ from where I measured from in this video. So after marking it, I'm going to just continue this and get to that 1½ mark. After doing that, I'm going to connect like so. You can see how I'm using my pattern master. You can use your armhole curve to do the same because this is the armhole curve part of the pattern master. So join the 2 points as you can see me do, and I'll be connecting like this. So to connect this is how you're going to place your ruler, but I had to lift here up so that I'll connect seamlessly. So you can see how I'm using my marker to connect to where I lifted this whole pattern from. And this is what it's going to look like. Very lovely. So this is what you're going to do if you want to get exactly the result I got. Even if it is not a jacket, you can still use the same pattern to make your built-up neckline on any dress of choice. So having done this, I'm going to cut out the armhole just as you can see me do and cut out the rest of the pattern. So after cutting it out, I will continue with the alteration. So I'm going to mark this. So this is the first part of this pattern alteration. I'm still going to alter this very pattern further before I cut the cropped jacket finally. Okay, so having done this, I'm going to mark important points just like here where the half length is proper because I extended this by 2 inches. Yes, this jacket got to 2 inches lengthier or longer than the half length. So I also marked the dart, that is the side bust dart. So ensure to mark these important points just as I did right here. So I'll just go ahead and stick this back in place. It can still be useful, and then I'll keep it aside. You can see what I have. This is the pattern I am going to alter further to get the final cropped jacket pattern. Note that this pattern is 2 inches longer than the half length. Okay, you can see it from the previous pattern I used. So here I marked about 13 inches, 14 inches from the original shoulder line. Okay, this is to give me around the on the bust level because that is where I want the neckline to get to. Yes, this was the original neckline I drew. At this point, I've not decided what to do with the neckline. So here I thought of giving a curve again towards the lower part like this. So if you like this design, go ahead and do it, but that is not the final design I gave to this cropped jacket. Feel free to do what you want with the jacket. So having done this, I've got another pattern right here, which is the back. As you can see, I had to go straight to the back before continuing my pattern alteration for the front. So this is the back pattern. I kept the front aside and I will go back to it after the back. Okay, so to get the built-up neckline for the back, you just have to get this vertical line like this, which is where the basic neckline is. Okay, where the basic neckline is, you just use this line and extend a little bit. So going by half and mark 1.5, just as we did for the front. Okay, mark 1.5 and connect these 2 points. So that is how to do for the back, and this is what we have. Very lovely. You have to go up here by 1 inch and mark, go up from the basic back neckline by 1 inch and mark, and then connect this to the 1.5 inches mark that we just did. So this is what the shape is going to look like. So this is the back pattern. Right here, I will just go ahead and pin it properly so that it doesn't move, and I will be cutting out the back pattern just as you can see me do right here. This is the back tightening, which I just trimmed out. Note that the dart intake for this back is already here. This is the waist divided by 4 plus dart intake that we have right here at the back right now. Okay, check the link in the description to see how to make your basic pattern, just in case you do not know how to make a basic pattern. So here I have the front and then the back pattern. At this stage, I'm going to go back to the front and continue with the alteration. So right here I marked 2 inches because I don't want the neckline to be more than 2 inches. And this is the final neckline that I decided, to cut for this cropped jacket, as you can see. So this is my final decision right here. I drew it out, and at this stage I have decided this is the part that I'll be cutting out. So it's not the original neckline that I used, that is the one I drew earlier. No, I made use of the second one I drew right now. So what I marked is the bust point, that is the bust level, and this is the bust to bust, to note where the bust point is. So when you note it, you go ahead and draw the side bust dart. You know that I marked this side bust dart from the original pattern after altering this pattern. So I will also go ahead and draw the dart. I drew the dart straight here because this is 2 inches extension from where the half length is. Okay, so that's why it's straight. So I'm connecting the dart in the proper weight form right now to 1 inch below the bust point. So this is what the pattern looks like right now. So I'll go ahead and cut this out and then continue with the pattern alteration. So when you cut out, this is what we have. If you don't want yours to have a button at the middle, go ahead. So if you don't want yours to have a button at the middle, go ahead and just allow it to have a line at the center front, or just the way you please. Okay, so right here I'm doing the contouring for the neck, and it's 3/8 this way and 3/8 that way. This is mainly because it's a deep cut neckline, so that it will sit perfectly right. If you don't do this, this neckline is going to gape. That is the simple truth. It will gape, and you don't want that to happen. So that is why I did this here, and I'll be closing it up. So closing it up, you will notice that the side bust dart, which is already cut open, has opened even more. Okay, it's more like a dart transfer, but trust me, this is just contouring. So yes, but it increased the side bust dart, which we will take care of while sewing, cutting and sewing the jacket, cropped jacket. So this is how I stick the contour guideline, on, and I will go ahead and cut all of this on the fabric. Okay, I will cut all of this on fabric. So this is what I have basically. I'll go ahead and get my fabric and cut this on fabric, the front and the back pattern, and after that we will interface and go ahead with the sewing process. Now this is the fabric I'll be using for this project. This is what my client brought. I didn't really know the measurement here, but when I now checked, I think I got 20 and 27 inches. So altogether is 47 inches. 1 yard is 36 inches, but what I have here is 47 inches. That is 1 yard 11 inches. That's what I used to make this jacket. So I had to fold it in place, and this way that I folded is stretchy. Okay, it's stretchy horizontally. So I'll go ahead and cut out this pattern just as you can see me do. I'll cut it out. This is the back and this is the front. I cut it out exactly the way you can see. You can see at that center front I gave 1 inch because of the button allowance. So this is the side, and I am using about 1¼ inches to cut this part. Okay, center front I used 1 inch, and here you can see how I marked the dart. I marked it from the original dart that is drawn on paper to even the new dart that opened up while closing the contour. I hope you understand, because all of that is what is going to be taken in while stitching this cropped jacket. So right here you can see what I have. I'm going ahead to remove all of the pins, and this is what I have at the end of the day. So this is the back pattern and this is the front. So I'm going ahead to cut it with the lining. Trust me, this lining is as well stretchy along, not so stretchy, it's just slightly stretchy. So I chose a lining that is slightly stretchy as well to go with the fabric. So I have interfaced it here, and I ensured that the hairstay was applied along where it is stretchy horizontally, so that nothing stops the little stretch on the fabric. I hope you understand. I also applied all of this. I used pepper gum on this and I applied it in a way it will not affect the stretch of the lining as well. So this is cloth gum that I used, and I cut this one on bias green because this way it will not affect the stretch of the fabric. Since it doesn't stretch horizontally or vertically, I had to cut it on bias green and used it both for the front neckline and the back neckline, just the same way you cut your facing, but this one is on bias green to ensure that it does not affect the stretch or the flow of the fabric. So after doing that, I'm going to trim off any excess interfacing coming out on the neckline, just like this. Yes, you have to do this because if you don't do it, it will add to the seam allowance and alter and can make you make mistakes while putting the pattern pieces together. You can see how I cut this as well, just as the, you know, pepper stay or cold gum that I applied on the neckline. Okay, this is on the lining. You can see how I fixed it on the lining. I did the same way I cut this is the same way I cut this. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. And the same way I cut this one for the back is still the same way I cut this little piece that I'm placing on the lining. So I'm going to hold it down like this and stitch it down. You can see the dimension I used just in case you want to use exactly what I used. So this is what the measurements of the parts looks like. So after doing this, I'm just going to place this very part on the lining and stitch it down. Okay, so after doing all of that, I will show you what I have. So you can see right here that I have stitched it down on the lining just like this. I've also stitched the darts, the side darts, and of course the regular darts, that is the waist darts. Okay, so after stitching it, this is what it looks like. And I've also gone ahead to stitch the dart for the fabric, and this is what it looks like as well. So what we are going to do now is to I just had to reduce this dart. Is optional, right? But I want to reduce it so that it doesn't add bulk to that part. That is really big, you know, it's more than the regular side bust dart because of the contouring. So I had to trim all of it out so that everything will lay flat and nice. So having done this, I'll go ahead and place the fabric and the lining like this, stitch it, notch and top stitch, and of course iron. I will also stitch the neckline. So that is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to stitch, notch and top stitch. Then I'll continue with the stitching process. So I'm going to stitch here first, notch and top stitch. Then I will stitch this other part of the neckline and then notch and top stitch as far as possible. So this is how I'm going to flip it over and then stitch again. I hope you understand. I first stitch the first part, notched and top stitch, which is here, and now I'm going to stitch here, notch and also top stitch as far as possible. I'll do the same thing for the second part. I'm just trimming off the excess. This is just optional. I do it to ensure that the neckline is very seamless. So this is what I have after stitching down that neckline. You can see what it looks like. Very lovely. So this is where the button will be. I did not curve it as I drew on the pattern earlier. I decided to leave that lower part straight up. But if you want to give yourself your own design on the hem at this center front, go ahead and do that. So right here I have stitched the back as well. I will go ahead and close up the neckline, notch and top stitch as well. So after that I will iron it in place, and then I will bring the front, place it just as you can see me do, open it up and stitch it lining to lining and fabric to fabric. I'll do the same thing for the second side and iron. So after that, this is what the result looks like. Very, very lovely. This is what it looks like. So I will go ahead and close up the side. I'll also close it up lining to lining and fabric to fabric. So I'll close up this center front around where the buttons will be, and I'll also close up the side lining to lining and fabric to fabric. So when I was done with that, this is what I have. This is what I have. You will notice that it's only the hem that is rough at the stage, and I'm still going to close it up. So I had to remove this so that when I close up the downside, it's not going to be bulky for any reason. So this is what I have. I will go ahead and trim off this lower parts, as you can see me do. I'm removing 1/2 inch from there so that by the time I stitch this lower part, it is going to be very seamless. It's not, the lining is not going to, come out, at the down part of this jacket. I've closed it up and I'm going to turn everything from the armhole, just as you can see me do. So you can see what I have right here. It is actually, now I'm closing up the center front. Okay, all along the center front is open, because this way you will easily manage the lining and the fabric after closing up the hem. Please follow the steps so that you don't make mistake while stitching yours. If you don't stitch it right, the jacket will not come out nice. So after doing this, I turned it inside out from the armhole. I turned it inside out from the armhole and ensured I brought out every point and then ironed in place. So this is what the jacket looks like. The tutorial is already lengthy and I decided to treat the sleeve in another tutorial. So if you want to see how I made the sleeve, you will have to look out for the next tutorial on this jacket, where I'll be treating the sleeve only. Okay, so this is what I have at the end of the day. Do you like it? Are you going to try it out? Okay, this neckline was sitting so right. You can see what it looks like when I tried to, try it on. You can see how relaxed the neckline is, even without buttons. Are you going to try this out? Try it and let me know what your result is. You can see the sleeve. If you what you want to know how I did it, then wait for the next tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys. Do well to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to know each time I upload. Love you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.